Hades 2. It's the sequel to Hades 1, hence the number 2 at the end of the name. The thing about this game is that it feels more like a spin-off rather than a sequel. And I'm probably gonna get a ton of people being like, oh my god, you don't know what games are, oh you suck. It just doesn't feel as fun, as smooth. You can't customize your build or change it up as much as Hades 1. And also the weapons don't feel as cool. Like, they added this new cast system, and they added magic and mana and all this other stuff, and like, it's cool for a spin-off, which is again what this game sort of feels like, but I want more of that original gameplay that I really liked in the first Hades. The reason I play this game is because I like the first Hades so much. But with that being said, I wouldn't say it's a bad game or anything. I just don't feel like it really feels like Hades. And usually when you play a sequel, or like the reason you play a sequel is because you like the first one so much and you want them to expand and continue to grow off of what they did in the beginning. Not give you, I wouldn't say entirely different, but a different feel and a different playing game. While I'm still having fun with it, it doesn't feel like Hades. You still have the same Boon system, similar combat, similar style. I mean, well, the same style, and art, narration, basically everything aside from the gameplay. The gameplay, and that's what a game is. And some of the major changes is there used to be a double dash, and also the time between the dashes was a lot shorter, and now they replaced it with this sprint system, which I don't know, it doesn't really do anything. You don't, well, they made some boons around it and stuff, and it's supposed to be a viable sort of mechanic and thing that you use, but it's just, I don't find myself using it, and I'd rather just build off of attacks. It's an interesting concept enough, but I didn't really like the way it came out. But also, while I'm talking about boons, all the boons here, they don't feel as interesting and unique, and the way they all synergize with each other, like, it doesn't feel like they synergize with each other. In Hades 1, I felt like there was a bunch of different builds, and you can kind of specialize and make them have these super combos, and just the way everything worked with each other. But there's the introduction of magic and mana and charge moves, which is right here, the magic omega move on the bottom right. It made it all feel too disconnected, because now you have to choose either, does the sprint do something, does your special do something, which the special was implemented in the original, so special's fine, but now does your magic do something, again your sprint do something, do your charge attacks do something? So there's, I would say, the same amount of boons, but they just don't really do anything. Obviously they do something, but it doesn't feel as cohesive, and it doesn't feel like you're making an actual build. You're just trying to scrap together whatever boons that you can find and hope that they work together. And the boon situation and the lack of build brings me to my next thing, which is sort of the health scaling, and I wouldn't even say difficulty, because it has the same amount of attacks and projectiles that Hades 1 had, and because this is like a bullet hell game, so you have to be on top of everything, keep track of everything, dodge things. And with the health scaling, in the beginning it's not noticeable because you have regular monsters, they're not that strong, I'm taking 1,000,000 damage for some reason. But when you start getting to bosses, specifically, you feel it a lot at Cerberus, because at some point you fight Cerberus. But at Cerberus, if you don't find, specifically there are, for Hephaestus, he's one of the gods, he gives you the ability to deal like 200 or 400 damage on your attacks or specials every 10 to 20 seconds. And if you don't find his attacks, and you don't manage to build a lot either around your regular attack, your special, or your sprint, then you just have sort of a mixture of small increases which don't really do all that much. And so you're left with this lack of damage and these bosses with so much health, and the boss runs I don't want them to be easier. I just want to be able to build better in order to better manage and more easily fight these bosses. But I don't want them to drop health or scaling. I want to be able to build a better build. And that's just a negative for me because I like theory crafting, build crafting, like putting together different things, seeing what synergizes with each other and seeing what works and what becomes OP. Like in the first Hades game, after about 6 runs or so, I found this one build that wouldn't come out all the time because it's RNG, but I was able to beat the final boss every single time without any revives at all, and it got fun because it had difficulty multipliers and enhancers, and so I just add those, and every run was still fun because I would make that build that I enjoyed, but it was still difficult. And something that this game does in order to give you some sort of power over how you want to make your build is these Arcana cards, which you spend resources as Ash, and each one of these, they have different conditions. You have the amount that you can spend over here on the top right, and then this you also have to upgrade with another resource that you find. But some of them, like this one that costs 0, you have to activate 3 cards that use the same amount of awakening or whatever this hand is called. You can mix and match a lot of these, and some, like this one I have on, it gives you 2 revives, this one gives you money. These give you rerolls for boons and shops and stuff, and then so you can mix and match these as long as you have the resource to equip them all. But I like this concept because while none of this is broken enough to carry you through a whole run just for free, but it does give you some sort of idea of how you're going to start and how you're going to play, and something that you get to take into your run. Now, while it sounds like I'm complaining, I wouldn't say this game is bad. It's just, as I mentioned earlier, it feels more of a spin-off than a sequel. Because what I feel like what they could have done is they could have done the whole climb to Mount Olympus with Zagreus from the first game. And then they could have turned this game into a spin-off where you do play as Malinue and then you do something else and have her different moveset and everything. Or make her another playable character, possibly. But I would have preferred to have the story and whatever's going on here, or a different story, whatever, but I wanted more of the original Hades gameplay. Wait, I'm still liking this game. I still need to finish it. I haven't completed a run yet, mostly because of the whole tail scaling thing that I was talking about. And I would say pick up this game, and I guess also maybe they'll probably do something about the health scaling, maybe add some more boons in the future, because this is still an early access game. But overall, I'm hoping this game improves a little bit with updates and full release. And I still recommend it for people who like roguelikes. And if you enjoyed the first Hades game, I'm sure you'll like it. Although I mentioned that I'm not the biggest fan of this combat system, and I prefer the original, it's still fun to try and figure things out and try to create a build out of this. I'd give this like a 7. 7 for Hades 2, hoping that it improves. But overall, solid game, just not as fun, and I didn't like it as much as Hades 1.